This is an Ingersoll Support Services orientation video. Part 1 is on personal rights. Part 2 is about abuse prevention. This material has been updated in November of 2013. It is designed as both an orientation and a refresher on our practices at Ingersoll Support Services. Part 1, Personal Rights, an overview of ISSI policies, procedures, and beliefs. Our beliefs about people's rights are grounded in our mission statement, which says that we support and empower individuals to become valued members of their community. Our beliefs about personal rights are expounded upon by our principles of service. These are value statements about people being valued in community, about freedom, about choice, about the importance of friends, family, and community, and participation therein, including responsibilities and especially rights. Our personal rights policy, ISSI recognizes that people we support have the same essential human rights and rights of citizenship that are shared by all members of our community. These rights are not based on the notion of disability nor agency rights statements, but are inherent in universal human rights for all citizens. We will review rights briefly, looking at 3 perspectives on personal rights. First, the basic human rights. These are based on each person's humanness. An ideal source of this is the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Secondly, specific rights having an acknowledgement of barriers to ability. Sometimes this is known as disability. These can be sourced from the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities of the United Nations. And thirdly, the ISSI Statement of Personal Rights. These are promises to people that we know personally, people we support. First, in detail, universal human rights. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. These rights are in recognition of the inherent dignity of each person. Everyone has the right to own property and the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family. Everyone has the right to education. Everyone has the right to freely participate in the cultural life of the community. Everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of his or her own personality is possible. Secondly, in protecting vulnerable people, particularly related to the rights of those who are labeled as disabled. We value these things: respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices, and independence of persons. Non-discrimination, full, effective participation and inclusion in society, respect for differences and acceptance of persons with disabilities as a part of human diversity, equality of opportunity, accessibility, equality between men and women, and respect for the evolving capacities of children, those children who have disabilities, and with respect to the right of children with disabilities to preserve their own identities. Moving from the more global human rights for all citizens, including those with a disability, we've developed an ISSI Statement of Rights. These include the right to be treated in a kind, polite, and respectful way, to be free from any kind of abuse, oppression, or control, to be free from coercion or subservience to agency or staff purposes, to be free to go where they want and live where they want, to own and use their own things, to have their privacy respected, to have and enjoy their own home, to contact their family and friends whenever they want to receive and spend their own money as they would choose, to have support based on what they need and want, to have a support plan that lists what is important to them, to have staff that know what is important to them, to safely refuse provision of service and support, to have full access to personal records and decide who can see them, to tell the agency when they're not happy with the support they are receiving, to let staff know when they want changes in their support, to not feel afraid to talk to any staff, to appeal agency decisions, to receive due process through personal advocacy, to examine rights, restriction, or compromise, to have support and advocacy to exercise their rights. Some conclusions. Human rights, social inclusion, and all of our services are based on the foundational belief about the value of all human beings by their very nature. And secondly, personal rights are understood as self-evident. However, they will require a strong sense of self-advocacy for them to be realized. Part 2. Closely related to ensuring people's basic rights is also ensuring that people have lives free from abuse. Part of this includes identifying where we stand on abuse prevention and abuse prevention training. Our policy and procedures. Our purpose. ISSI adheres to the MCSS Quality Assurance Measures Regulation on Abuse Prevention. The purpose of these regulations is to protect people we support. This is signaled by a shift in history from our own internal investigation of allegations of abuse to each of us having individual responsibility to report to police when a crime occurs. This is the way crime should be treated in all of our communities. An introduction to our policy. ISSI has comprehensive policies and procedures to ensure that people are valued community members, including ensuring that allegations and incidents of reported, suspected, or observed abuse are dealt with thoroughly. These include policy and procedure on reporting, QAM 15, supporting people who are abused, QAM 16, steps that are taken with members who are accused of perpetration, QAM 17, the promotion of zero tolerance through orientation training with annual refreshers for staff, education of persons supported by the agency, and policy review and revision, QAM 18, and the notification with consent of incidences, QAM 19-20. A definition. Abuse is any act or situation which may be physical, psychological, sexual, or verbal in nature, which harms, demeans, or infringes on the personal rights or dignity of an individual or places the individual's personal health and safety at risk. It could also include neglect. Types of abuse can include sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, neglect, exploitation, harassment, sexual harassment. The Criminal Code. The Criminal Code identifies sexual abuse as a crime. Physical abuse is a common assault, as defined by the Criminal Code of Canada. Roles. To be clear, a role includes fact-finding, but not formal internal investigation prior to reporting to authorities. When we suspect a crime has occurred, we need to contact police. Dealing with staff where abuse is alleged. Regarding allegations, we need to acknowledge their sensitivity. Secondly, all information must be kept confidential. Thirdly, we need to protect all parties concerned. Prevention. We will act preventatively. This includes orientation for all members, training for all staff, initial and ongoing, education, which is based individually for the people we support. Regarding notifications of incidents of abuse, we need to respect people's privacy and their wishes. We need the person's permission to notify, for example, another person in their family. Please note that this is not permission to report a crime. Regarding internal reporting and the Ministry of Community and Social Services, an incident of abuse needs to be reported to the Ministry as a serious occurrence. In conclusion, we believe in the full participation of all people in community and the upholding of their rights and freedoms. We also believe this means providing support and ensuring their safety.